Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with the super random book tag. This tag was originally created by Megan over at Head Over Books, and I was tagged by the fabulous Tati from Tati the Tiny Booktuber, and I will of course link both of them down below. Number 1, color crazy. Pick a color that matches your emotion when you're reading your favorite book. So I feel like in general, my favorite books give me a sense of like comfort and coziness, and for some reason the color that made me think of is like a pale lavender, like kind of pale purple. I don't know why, but that seems like a combination of like happy and peaceful that I get from reading my favorite books, even though like my favorite color is green. But anyway. Number 2, favorite movie. Pick the best book to movie adaptation. I have a couple for this one. I thought the Book Thief adaptation was really good. I still love the book more, but I did think that was a fantastic one. And my most recent favorite, I think, is Dumplin'. I thought the book was okay. Like, I'm glad I read it. I enjoyed some parts of it, but the movie is fantastic. I think it's honestly, it's one of my favorite movies, period, not just adaptations. And I also think that the first Narnia movie, I forget when that one was made, in the early 2000s, the one for The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I think that is just such a really good adaptation of the book. Like, it really keeps the same like tone, and the characters feel very much in line with who they are, and I just think that was a fantastically done movie. The next two, not so much, but that one was great. Number 3, favorite song at the moment. Say your favorite song at the moment and pick a book that you feel is the same as your favorite song. Currently, my favorite song is Grigio Girls by Lady Gaga, and a book that kind of made me think of that like girl power and like sticking together and like really just like the bittersweet feeling I get from that song is Marisi by Maria Turchaninov, translated by A.A. Prime. This is the first book in the Red Abbey Chronicles. I've talked about these books before. I think this is a really fantastic feminist fantasy series, and just the themes about women supporting each other I think are so important, and especially in this book you really see that. In the second book, Nandel, that is actually a prequel, and it takes a little while before you see them start to work together, and I love that song. If you have not listened to it, I'm sure you have because it's probably old. I just think it really fits the song. Number 4, book slump. Name a book that put you in a reading slump. And I've talked about in my, I think like my bookish facts video, I don't really get reading slumps. I don't think I've ever been in one, but kind of the closest I can say is that I have read books that sort of made me like slow down in my reading and like make me not really eager to pick that up and keep reading. And one that I can think of that I read at the end of last year, I finally finished, it took me a couple of months, was A Mad Wicked Folly by Sharon Biggs Waller. Oh boy, this was a historical fiction, and I didn't like the main character. I didn't like the romance at all. I thought the like hating on other women thing got really old really fast. I just had a lot of problems with it. I'll link the wrap up where I rant about it in depth down below in case you want to see, but yeah, that one really made me not excited to read. Number 5, book shopping. Name a book that you spent way too much money on. And in general, I don't spend a lot of money on books. Like, I do enjoy buying books and I buy them pretty frequently, but I generally use coupons or sales or, used bookstores or whatever. But one that I could answer for this is The Book of Goddesses by Chris Walder, introduction by Linda Skiercy Leonard. And I don't exactly regret buying this one. This is one of my favorite picture books I would check out from my public library when I was little, and I loved it, and I'm not even sure it's still there, and I really just wanted to read it again, and I'm not sorry I got it because the illustrations are just gorgeous, and I love the stories that they tell. There's like a huge variety of goddesses that they talk about here. But the reason I do kind of regret it is because it was pretty expensive. It was around between $20 and $30, I think, just for this one book. And the reason I also kind of regret it is because right after I bought it, I found out that there's actually like an updated edition that has a lot more goddesses in it. So I kind of regret paying all that money for this one now, but I'm still happy I have it. I'm definitely going to read it. Number 6, empty pockets. Name a book that you really want, but you don't have the money to pay for it. I was just thinking about this the other day. It's a biography on Georges Lemay. I'm so sorry, I don't speak French. I will put the cover of the book here, but he was the one who kind of came up with what would become like the scientific theory behind the Big Bang. I think he called it like the cosmic egg or something like that. And his life and his scientific pursuits and everything like are just really interesting to me, and I want to learn more about him, but I think that book is around $50. And I've even heard some things about how the translation is like not that great, so it's like I don't want to spend all that money on like one book, and especially if it's going to be kind of disappointing, but like I still want to read it, and it's really hard to find. Number 7, The Golden Trio. Name a group of friends besides Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley. And I kind of went for another basic answer, but I don't care because I love them, and this was the first best option I thought of. And that is like the whole gang from The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. Gansey and Blue and Noah and Adam and Ronan. I love their interactions together, and I love the fact that we really get a feeling of how they all relate to each other. So like not just as a group and not just like a couple of best friends within the group, because I feel like sometimes books that have large somewhat large supporting casts, there's like a couple of characters in the group who don't really ever interact with each other, but supposedly they're friends. And I never got that feeling from these books. I really feel like I have a clear picture of how each person in this group feels about any other person in the group. And those relationships are so different and so complex. And there are definitely relationships that are focused on more than others, but I just loved that overall. I know this series is pretty polarizing. It's not for everyone, but characters are a huge thing for me, and I loved the relationship and friendship and everything kind of dynamics in this book, in this series. Number 8, memories. Name your top 3 favorite books. That is such a cruel question, so I'm just gonna go with some that are just really important to me. In general, these are probably gonna be ones you've heard me talk about 1,000 times, but The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, The Secret Garden by Frances Hudson Burnett, and Still Star-Crossed by Melinda Taub. Those are definitely 3 of my favorite books. I could not even begin to tell you, like, I could not rank books I love. Number 9, never-ending TBR. Name a book that you want to add to your never-ending TBR. And one of the ones that I added most recently is More to the Story by Hina Khan, and that is a contemporary retelling of Little Women set in America. I don't know what state. The main characters are all Muslim, and I think that just sounds so amazing. I loved Amina's voice by Hina Khan, so I am very, very much looking forward to this one. Number 10, Oops. Name a book that is popular that you haven't read yet. It's gonna be The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the Mistborn series. I really enjoyed Sanderson's other works that I've read. I guess I'm kind of focused on his somewhat less hyped books so far, but I haven't read either of his really, really popular series, and I do think I'm going to like it. I'm a little nervous about the main female character, but I will hopefully be getting to this soon because my friend Hannah from Lynn Hermione actually chose this book for me to read for my TBR, so hopefully this will happen soon. Number 11, Rainbow. Name a book that gives you all the feels. Pretty much most books that I love give me a lot of emotions, which is why they're some of my favorites. But recently I have to say that's Transformed: The Perils of the Frog Prince by Megan Morrison. This is the 3rd and most recent book in the Time series, and this has become one of my favorite series of all time. I love the complexity of the stories and the characters, and there's so much character growth for all of our protagonists across all 3 books, and they're companion books, so you really get to know like different characters in this world. And this one, oh my god, like Syra's character development is just so subtle and so beautiful, and it just really means a lot to me. And this is one of those books where I get close to the end and I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, yeah, it's a little emotional, but like, I'm okay. And then I get to like a few scenes at the end and it's like, oh, I'm crying now. Okay, this is fine. Number 11, movie night. Name a book to movie series or book to movie adaptation that you've binge watched. I'm gonna go with the BBC miniseries for Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. I adore that miniseries. I think that overall it does a really great job of capturing the tone of that novel. I love the novel, and I am glad that I read the book before watching the series because obviously they have to cut things out, and there are a couple of things that they don't really explain as well as the book does, but overall I just think that's a really wonderful miniseries. I definitely kind of marathon watched like most of the episodes in it, and there's not that many episodes in the miniseries, and I really recommend that show, especially if you read and enjoyed the book. I actually have been thinking about doing like a whole review on the adaptation because I love it so much. I've watched it a few times now. Number 13, Sweet But Sour. Name a book that is sweet but is sour in some way. And I chose Spindle by E.K. Johnston. This is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, and it's a companion sequel to A Thousand Nights, but I feel like these books are almost completely separate, so you can read them separately if you would like to. And I love this book, but it's definitely a really mixed one in terms of like the feelings you get when you read it. Like, I would definitely call this book bittersweet, or I guess like sour sweet, because they're like the ending especially, I understand why it happens, and in a lot of ways it's like the best you could hope for, but it still makes me like super emotional. Number 14, OMG, no spoilers please. Name a book that you've been spoiled for. The last page, you guys. Like, I'm not exaggerating. It was the last page of this novel before the epilogue, and someone on Twitter spoiled it for me. Yeah, I'm still pissed off about this. Like, I have read this book since and I really enjoyed it, but I'm so mad because now I'll never know if I would have been surprised because somebody took that away from me. I'm still bitter about it. Can you tell? Okay, everybody, so that was the super random book tag. Thank you so much, Tati, for tagging me. I'm going to tag Katie from aseaoftomes, and of course anyone else who would like to do this tag. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!